I met Phil over the telephone approximately 3 years ago, and in person about 2 years ago. And during that period of time, I became very well acquainted with him. He was, at that time, still working for the government, and he didn't say much about what he did. But nonetheless, over a period of time, I became well acquainted with him. I found him to be a person of integrity and honesty. And about 1 year ago, he became totally fed up with the New World Order and the establishment. He thought he was working for the betterment of mankind and the work that he was doing as a geologist for our government, as well as for NATO. And he found out that it could be and was actually anything but that. So his revelations became, in many respects, my revelations. And I urged him last winter and spring to go public and lecture. Finally got him out. He's given over 30 lectures to date, all very successful, very interesting. In fact, so successful there have been 13 attempts on his life since the beginning of the year, and he survived them all. All I can say is God must be protecting him because he has a message. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Phil Schneider, and understand also everything is being recorded and the video and audio tapes will be available later. Please give a warm welcome to Phil Schneider.
Thanks, Al. I guess I can always start off by saying loose lips sink ships. That's almost a pun anymore. I'm Phil Schneider. I worked 17 years for the United States government as a geologist and aerospace engineer, as well as a structural engineer. I worked for such elusive occupations with Morrison Knudsen, Bechtel, Page and Page, Aerospatiale of France, and a host of other, EG&G, and a host of other, Los Alamos Laboratory, and these kind of things. But rather than bore you with all those statistics, I've got cooked up a real mixed bag here of different topics, and it's might be a little bit like brain overload, but I'll start from the beginning. Now, like I said, I worked 17 years, co-invented methods of shape charge blasting, as well as laser rock deflagration, which means rock is literally melted or powdered by a special laser combination, and the residue of the rock underneath is applied as a coating, as a liquid coating, kind of like instant agate, if you could imagine a hunk of agate, which is a hard silica mineral, rock actually. But up here we have another topic. This is an area where I worked. I worked 11 years of the 17 years at Groom Lake, S4, S2. It's in the Nellis Air Force Base area. In fact, Groom Lake is, I'll show you in the picture right here. It's right here. Groom Lake is quite the place. A lot of rumors and other kinds of things have come out of there. Of course, people have stood on the outside for years and wondered at what's been flying there. There's all kinds of things been flying. Let me give you a brief overview. Start in ancient history land here. Back in 1909, the U.S. Cavalry was engaged in catching some banditos that had crossed over the Mexican border into a place called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And they went into a cave or a hideout and killed the so-called bandits, but what they found out they couldn't explain, and they were called horseshoe craft at that time, or horseshoe ships. There were UFOs, and they saw these, what they called demons, gray demons, little gray guys all around the place. That was in 1909. Now in 1933, our government was actively engaged with the Europeans, mostly the French and the English, in special researches dealing with aerial phenomenon. And once again, the term flying saucer or flying disc didn't come about until much later, supposedly right around the mid-1940s. Anyway, the whole thing here is that also in 1946, I might want to add, we were engaged in atomic bomb testing and this kind of a like, and of course the area of Bikini Atoll. Some of the pictures are over here on the white board, showing with the actual language of both the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy archives. Anyway, these flying ships were seen as early as 1945, 46. Some of them were called Foo Fighters, and you name it. They were fully known about maybe as early as 1935 or 36 by our U.S. Navy. And there was a shallow underwater base at Bikini Island, and that was probably the one reason why a number of atomic bombs were exploded in that area rather than other areas which they could have been even more remote out in the South Pacific at Operation Crossroads. Well, anyway, this all led up to later on, about 6-8 years later, 1954, during the Eisenhower administration, led to an interesting treaty called the Greada 1954 Treaty. It was the Alien-Human Treaty. And supposedly the aliens had come in and exchanged technology, and they'd want to take an occasional human being and a few head of cows, and accurate books were supposedly to be kept and all this kind of stuff. And of course, eventually all that broke down, and aliens are notorious for being liars, even greater liars than so-called, in quote, we humans are. So alien treaties are often just not even the pieces of paper they're written on, they're just really kind of worthless. Anyway, my work as a geologist in building underground military bases, some of which are over 2 miles underground. And I think when you listen to Al tonight, if you have a chance to listen to him, he will speak of, Al's actually been on some of the high-speed monorail subway cars, if you might want to call them, that link these bases together. Some of them are capable of riding on a cushion of air about 3/4 of an inch off a rail, are most likely been planned as underground prison camps and slave labor factories for the New World Order. New World Order, by the way, is getting, and I'm probably the only person ever talking about this, the New World Order is taking, and the United Nations is taking its orders from, believe it or not, these more powerful outer space alien entities. We might call them the large grays or the small grays. Sinister forces indeed. And you might want to say, well, gee, how come we don't see more of this kind of thing? Well, you can just imagine. If you're only being told 5% or less of the truth, that isn't very much to go on. That's one thing. Another thing is, you don't find very many people coming up here and letting you have hands-on experience. I'm going to try and do this to you. However, I do ask you to go out and do your homework and keep doing it. Don't necessarily believe in what I'm saying, but get out there and talk to people. Whether it's just a couple of neighbors or friends or something, get out there and talk. Because one will tell two and two will tell four, and then pretty soon you have a whole room full of people that are in the know. And then from there, wonders can work. Other than that, as far as changing the black budget and these clandestine programs, public opinion is only going to be that, going to do that, and it's going to take millions of us. But we have to be informed, and to do that, we have to be doing what we're doing now, gathering and talking. And, of course, most of us are adults and can weed out fact from fiction. Most of us are responsible adults and know the difference between fact and fiction and how to use it or how to abuse it. So we therefore have to continue to keep studying and keep talking. If there's just me out there, and believe it or not, there aren't very many people like myself out there talking. I've given over 30 talks in the United States, Canada, Japan, went over to England, went to Japan kind of illegal, came back the same weekend. They flew me in and out, but gave a talk to a number of their execs, and they were very interested indeed. Now, if this was all a bunch of poppycock and hooey and poo-poo, I wouldn't be listened to, be given an audience by these people, but evidently I have. But 13 attempts on my life since the first of this year. There's a number of you ladies present, so I won't gore you out, but Al has seen some of the wounds, and there's a few other people that have been to a few of my other lectures, and they can attest that I have been shot. I've been run off the road, I've been pushed off the road, I've been mostly shot at, that kind of thing like that. But I've been in hand-to-hand combat with some of these people, and once again, I'm not in the best of shape anymore, but I still know how to handle myself. And I'm just about ready to wrap things up here, but just basically wanted to give you an overview of what's happening. And if we have any questions, we can start asking a few questions. Okay, here's a gentleman way over here. Would you please speak up loud? Yes, I was involved in 1979, in August, late August of 1979. I was involved working through Los Alamos Laboratories at Dulce, New Mexico, and what's now known as the Alien-Human War. 66 Secret Service agents, government workers, geologists, and the like. I almost bit the dust. I could have been number 67. Lost their lives that day because the government lied and knew full well what was underneath. And what we'd done is, out in the desert there, we had drilled in a period of a couple of days, we drilled 4 of these holes that went down several thousand feet, and one of these holes kept bringing up dirty dust and putrefying odors and broken off machine bits and other kinds of things like that. Boring machines as well as lasers came up damaged. And of course, there was a probe that was sent down, and that came up totally missing. And so people were sent down there, and I was one of the people. And when I got down there, of course, the odor was, and remember, I was in a spacesuit type environment. All I had was a small tool belt with special sensors and a small rock hammer and a rucksack for mineral specimens and other kinds of things like that. And I had my little pistol. And being an engineer, I didn't have time to carry a big hunk of pistol like most of these Green Berets carry, stuff like that, Black Berets. I carried a little Walther PPK with a 9-shot clip. As soon as I got down this hole, standing about from me to this gentleman over here in front row, about 10 or so feet away, 7 feet away, something like that, was one of these 7-foot-tall stinking alien guys, and I didn't waste any time. I said, I'm not fiddling with you guys, and boom, away you go. And I was one of the rare few that had been allured that this may or may not occur, so basically was given ET training, but a lot of these other people weren't. And we were, in fact, it was asked, are there aliens in the area? And of course, the big question was no. And that was a big lie. And of course, 66 people died that day. I have a big hole in my chest. I lost a leg. My lung was literally burnt out of me. My fingers burnt off of me. My toenails burnt off of me. My skin was, I was in radiation isolation therapy for 400 plus days. My bones were vitrified or burnt. I was cooked. I managed to survive. Here telling you something about it today. Other than that, I'm the only talking survivor. There are only 2 other survivors, and they're in nursing homes up in Canada. And Canada refuses to allow the United States officials to talk to them. And they're in very bad shape indeed. One of them can't talk, and the other one doesn't want to. So they're regarded as Canadian heroes. And so they're being kept by Canada. Okay, this fellow over here. Speak up loud. Actually, yes, there's several. In fact, as I was coming to this talk, I was supposed to be here by plane, but there was a subsequent foul-up. Anyway, I drove all the way and did it in one day. But as I was coming over up near Cheyenne, I noticed the military, Air Force and the Army are building a so-called new, in quote, boot camp, prison camp, right up in Cheyenne, brand new. And I was here 3 months ago, I wasn't there. So it's something brand new. In Colorado, yes, there's about 4 underground bases, one being at Denver International Air Base. I call it Air Base, Spaceport, or whatever you want to call it. Denver International Airport. No wonder your luggage gets lost. There are 8 levels underneath the airport, tarmac there, in quote tarmac or cement mac. And so those bags could be there for a damn long time. Why, just imagine, if this was instantly turned to agate 30 or more million years ago, those bags could very well be the same way. So yeah, there's a number of them, and I wish I had a map with me. In fact, in subsequent talks I'll have a map, which will be put on the overhead. In fact, my next talk I plan to have just that. I had planned to bring a map here and had all the latitudes and longitudes of all the bases, and I can't do that. That would be